There are moments in life when the connection between two souls feels too powerful, too synchronistic, and too emotionally intense to be mere coincidence. When this happens, many begin to wonder, is this my twin flame? But what if this connection, as divine as it may seem, is being tested by the universe, not to break it but to reveal its truth? In these hidden trials, the shadows surface, illusions fall apart, and the deepest aspects of ourselves are mirrored back to us. The connection becomes a sacred mirror, reflecting not just love but also the wounds, projections, and unmet parts of our psyche. In this journey, we're not just encountering a partner, we're encountering the self, and only through conscious integration can this connection rise to its true potential. If you've ever felt like your twin flame journey is being tested, comment below. I trust the divine process. Carl Jung's analytical psychology offers profound insight into the intense, often bewildering nature of a twin flame connection. According to Jung, every human psyche is on a path toward individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of the self. A true twin flame connection acts as a catalyst for this process. It draws out the hidden, repressed, and fragmented elements of the psyche, often through projection. When we meet someone who feels like our twin flame, we unconsciously project our idealized anima or animus, the inner feminine or masculine image, onto them. This projection can feel transcendent, as if the other person completes us. But as the illusion fades, we are confronted with their humanness and, more challengingly, with our own unresolved wounds. The intense highs and lows of the connection are not proof of dysfunction, but invitations to integrate our shadow, the parts of ourselves we have disowned or ignored. Jung believed that true union begins not with romantic completion, but with inner integration. In this light, the universe's tests are not cruel obstacles, but necessary thresholds for growth. If a connection is truly divine, it will survive not by avoiding conflict, but by transmuting it into deeper understanding and wholeness. The partner becomes a mirror, reflecting back what we must face within. The journey becomes less about clinging to the other and more about confronting the self. By applying Jung's principles, we begin to see that the twin flame path is not simply about reunion, but about inner alchemy. Only when both individuals commit to their personal transformation can the connection reveal its sacred purpose, not to complete, but to awaken. There is a reason why the twin flame experience often begins with wonder and ends in chaos. Beneath the magnetic pull and the overwhelming synchronicities lies a much deeper purpose: the activation of the shadow. According to Carl Jung, the shadow is the hidden part of the unconscious that holds the traits we deny, suppress, or avoid in ourselves. It contains both what we consider negative, jealousy, anger, insecurity, as well as untapped strengths and potentials. In a true twin flame connection, this shadow is not simply triggered, it is brought to the forefront with brutal honesty. The twin flame acts as a mirror, reflecting not only our light, but also everything we are not yet ready to see. This mirroring is not a conscious choice, it is a soul-level contract. From the moment of recognition, the energy begins to destabilize what is false, unresolved, or fragmented within us. The emotions that arise are intense, because the connection demands transformation. It does not allow the ego to remain in control, and as Jung observed, the ego resists the shadow fiercely. Thus, the spiritual connection turns into an emotional battlefield where both individuals confront not only each other's wounds but their own. These confrontations are not punishments, they are revelations. The universe, through this person, shows us what we have avoided for years. Abandonment wounds, fears of inadequacy, control patterns, deep loneliness, all of it surfaces, and if we are unaware of the purpose, we might mistake this confrontation for toxicity or incompatibility. But in Jungian psychology, the presence of the shadow is not a sign of failure. It is the gateway to wholeness. Only by facing and integrating these unconscious patterns can we begin the process of individuation, the path to becoming who we truly are. The twin flame, then, is not here to validate us. They are here to awaken us, and this awakening is often painful, not because the connection is flawed, but because it is real. It strips away illusions and forces us to look within. In that sense, the universe is not testing the love, it is testing our readiness to evolve. If we cling to the romantic fantasy, we may reject the gift of the shadow. But if we are courageous enough to endure the mirror, we are initiated into a profound psychological transformation. Jung taught that the shadow must not be destroyed, but integrated. This means acknowledging our flaws without judgment, reclaiming our hidden strengths, and learning to hold space for discomfort. In a twin flame dynamic, both partners are given this opportunity, but the path is not always symmetrical. One may awaken before the other. One may run while the other chases. This is the dance of the unconscious, and in this dance the universe observes, not to punish but to allow choice. Will we project our pain onto the other and repeat old cycles? Or will we embrace the shadow as a guide, using the relationship as a container for deep inner work? The answer reveals whether the connection is merely karmic or truly divine. A divine connection does not bypass the shadow, it honors it. It allows both individuals to fall apart and rebuild from a more authentic place. The mirror of the soul is not gentle, but it is sacred. It offers us a glimpse into who we could become if we dare to face what we have hidden. This is why twin flames can feel both like heaven and hell. They activate the highest and lowest within us, demanding reconciliation. And it is through this sacred mirror that the soul finds its reflection, not just in the other, but in the self. The test, then, is not whether the love survives the trials, but whether the self emerges transformed. From the very beginning of a twin flame connection, there is an almost mystical sense of recognition. It feels as though you've known this person forever, as if they carry a missing part of your soul. But what exactly are we seeing in this person? According to Carl Jung, what we fall in love with at first is not the person themselves, but our own inner archetypes, specifically the anima and animus. These are the unconscious images of the opposite gender that live within the psyche, formed through personal experience and collective patterns. When we encounter someone who activates these inner images, we don't just see them, we see our own soul mirrored back through projection. This projection is not a flaw, it is a necessary phase of psychological development. Jung emphasized that falling in love is often a projection of the anima or animus onto the other. In other words, we attribute to them qualities we long for, admire, or lack in ourselves. In the context of twin flames, this projection is even more intense because the spiritual and emotional connection is amplified. We see them not only as a romantic partner, but as a divine being, a savior, a soulmate, a mirror of all we dream to become. But inevitably, reality begins to surface. The cracks appear, the illusion fades, and when this happens, we may feel betrayed or confused. The once perfect reflection begins to show flaws, contradictions, and wounds. But this disillusionment is not the death of the connection. It is the beginning of truth. As the projection dissolves, the real person emerges, and so do we, because what we projected outward must now be reclaimed inward. The qualities we admired, wisdom, strength, grace, mystery, are not just theirs. They are our own, waiting to be integrated. This is where the journey becomes spiritual. Instead of demanding that the other remain the idealized version we created, we begin to turn inward. We ask, why did I see those qualities in them? Why did I ignore the red flags? What unmet needs or inner longings shaped my perception? Jung taught that through the withdrawal of projection, we reclaim our psychic energy and move closer to individuation. The person who once held our soul now becomes a teacher, not by staying perfect, but by showing us what we must develop within. This phase is often misunderstood as the end of the connection, but in truth it is a sacred transition. The universe, in testing the connection, is not interested in fantasy. It wants truth. Can you love this person for who they are, not who you imagined them to be? Can you still feel the connection without clinging to illusion? And most importantly, can you recognize that what you loved in them was always a part of you? This process requires immense inner work. It is not about blaming the other for not living up to our expectations, but about owning the stories we projected onto them. For many, this includes confronting deep inner voids, childhood wounds, unmet emotional needs, and the longing for divine union that has been externalized. The twin flame, in this case, becomes a sacred screen upon which the psyche casts its most profound desires and fears. Only by withdrawing these projections can the relationship evolve beyond fantasy into authentic connection. This is the divine paradox of the twin flame path. We are drawn to the other to find ourselves, and once the projection falls, we stand naked, vulnerable, human, and real. But this is where love can finally begin. Not the love of illusion, but the love of integration. In this light, the universe's test is not whether the other person meets our every emotional need. It is whether we can do the inner work required to meet ourselves. The anima and animus are not meant to live in the other. They are meant to be awakened through the other and embodied within. The twin flame is not the end of the journey. They are the mirror that reveals the path home. One of the most painful aspects of a twin flame connection is separation. After the intensity of recognition, after the soul-deep conversations, after the magnetic highs and spiritual revelations, there comes the silence, the absence, the unanswered messages, the emotional retreat. For many, this phase feels like abandonment, like punishment, like the death of something sacred. But from the Jungian perspective, this distance is not only expected, it is essential. It is part of the divine plan, not to break the bond, but to strengthen the self. Carl Jung's central concept of individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating all parts of the psyche, cannot happen in enmeshment. It cannot happen when our sense of identity is fused with another's. Individuation requires space, solitude, and self-confrontation. In a twin flame connection, the initial unity often masks the deeper work that needs to happen. It feels like wholeness, but it is often two incomplete selves clinging to an illusion of completion. When the separation occurs, the illusion is shattered, and each individual is forced into their own psychological underworld. This is not abandonment, it is initiation. The universe, in its wisdom, introduces distance not to inflict suffering, but to compel transformation. In the silence, all that was hidden rises to the surface. The longing that emerges is not just for the other, but for the self that was lost in the fusion. Emotional patterns, dependency wounds, abandonment fears, identity crises, all begin to stir, and it is here, in this chaos, that true healing can begin. Jung taught that the path to individuation often begins with crisis, the breakdown of the ego, the collapse of projections, the confrontation with the unconscious. These are not signs of failure, but rites of passage. In the absence of the twin flame, we are given the opportunity to face the parts of ourselves we projected onto them. The need for validation, the fear of loneliness, the avoidance of inner wounds all come to the surface, and without the distraction of the other, we must begin the journey inward. This journey is rarely linear. It is not a simple path of healing and then reunion. It is a spiral, revisiting old patterns from deeper levels of awareness. Some days are filled with clarity, others with despair, but each cycle brings us closer to the core of who we are. The separation becomes sacred when we stop seeing it as a punishment and start embracing it as a mirror of our own fragmentation. What the universe seems to be testing during this phase is not just our patience, but our willingness to evolve. Can we face ourselves without needing the other to fix or complete us? Can we hold the love while letting go of the attachment? Can we recognize that true union must be preceded by inner union? This is the alchemy of distance. It burns away illusion. It exposes dependencies. It teaches self-reliance and emotional maturity. In Jungian terms, it moves us from unconscious fusion to conscious relationship. No longer seeking the other to fulfill us, we begin to fulfill ourselves. And in doing so, we make space for a higher form of love, one that is not based on need but on resonance. This doesn't mean that reunion is guaranteed. The twin flame journey is not about getting the person back. It is about becoming the person you were meant to be. If both individuals commit to their own individuation, the connection may transform and return in a new form. But even if it doesn't, the purpose has been fulfilled. The soul has grown. The self has awakened. And this is the ultimate paradox. The separation that once felt like loss becomes the crucible of rebirth. In the absence of the other, we find our presence. In the silence, we hear the voice of the self. The distance becomes not a barrier, but a bridge, one that leads us not to the other, but to wholeness. When two people have endured the storm of shadow work, moved through the trials of projection, and survived the fire of separation, what remains is not the illusion of perfection, but the possibility of sacred union. In the Jungian perspective, This union is not merely relational, it is alchemical. It represents the merging of opposites, the fusion of conscious and unconscious, the integration of the inner masculine and feminine. It is love not as emotional dependency, but as a path to the self. True alchemy, as Jung described, was not the literal transformation of metals, but the symbolic process of psychological transformation. Just as lead is refined into gold through fire and dissolution, the soul is refined through conflict, disillusionment, and deep introspection. In the twin flame journey, each phase, recognition, projection, separation, is a stage of this inner alchemy. And if the individuals choose to face themselves rather than escape, the final stage emerges: integration. This is the moment when love ceases to be a longing for another and becomes an embodiment of wholeness. When two people reunite from this place of inner alignment, their connection becomes something entirely different. It is no longer driven by need, fear, or fantasy. It becomes a conscious union where both partners see each other clearly, not as saviors, not as extensions of their own psyche, but as full human beings on a shared path of evolution. The union becomes a container for mutual growth, for creative expression, for spiritual expansion. Each person brings their own inner work into the space, creating a relationship rooted not in escape, but in presence. In Jungian terms, this is the marriage of the inner opposites, the integration of the anima and animus. The inner masculine learns to act with clarity, strength, and purpose. The inner feminine learns to receive, to trust, to intuit. When these forces are balanced within each individual, the outer relationship reflects that harmony. The drama dissolves, the power struggles cease, the love that once triggered chaos now creates coherence. And the universe, no longer needing to test or disrupt, begins to support and amplify the connection. This is the true meaning of divine union. It is not a romantic ideal, but a psychological and spiritual achievement. It is the result of deep inner work, radical honesty, and a commitment to becoming whole. In this space, love becomes a mirror not of our wounds, but of our healing. The partner reflects not what we lack, but what we have integrated, and the relationship itself becomes a sacred vessel for the unfolding of the self. But this kind of union is rare because the path to it is rigorous. Many turn back, many settle for the comfort of illusion rather than the challenge of truth. But for those who endure, who surrender to the alchemical process, who face every layer of themselves without retreat, something extraordinary emerges. The love becomes not an end, but a beginning. It becomes a force of awakening, not just for the individuals involved, but for the world around them. Such a union radiates. It heals. It teaches by presence, not preaching. It invites others to seek their own wholeness rather than to idolize someone else's. And this is why the universe tests the connection so thoroughly. Because when it is truly divine, it carries a frequency capable of transformation, not just between two people, but within the collective unconscious. It touches something ancient, something archetypal. It speaks to the universal longing for reunion, not just with a partner, but with the lost parts of the soul. In the end, the twin flame path is not about finding the other, but about finding the self through the mirror of the other. It is the hero's journey inward, disguised as a love story. And when love becomes a path to the self, it transcends time, space, and identity. It becomes the gold at the end of the alchemical process, the union of opposites, the harmony of duality, the embodiment of the divine in human form. The path of the twin flame is not an escape from reality, but a descent into it. It asks more of us than any ordinary relationship because it is not meant to comfort, it is meant to transform. Through projection, shadow work, separation, and finally, sacred union, we are invited to become who we truly are. In the Jungian view, this is the essence of individuation, the journey toward inner wholeness, catalyzed through relationship, refined through pain, and revealed through love. The universe does not test your connection to destroy it, but to strengthen your soul. Every challenge, every silence, every mirrored wound is part of a greater alchemical process designed to return you not to the other, but to the self. And in doing so, you become capable of a love that is conscious, healing, and divine in its depth and clarity. If you found resonance in this journey, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, leave your reflections in the comments, and watch the next video that's now appearing on your screen. The more we understand ourselves, the more we awaken the collective. The journey is not over. It's only just beginning.